Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all sports fans and fight fans. As we all know, Anthony Joshua, AJ, will be fighting and taking on Jarrell at the Madison Square Gardens in New York on June the 1st of 2019, where AJ will be defending his WBA, IBF, WBO, and IBO World Heavyweight titles. This fight has been announced fully by Anthony Joshua himself and promoter Eddie Hearn and started to be promoted by Matchroom Boxing as well all over social media. This is one fight really that I kind of don't disagree with but agree with because I can see the arguments from both sides and understand. But Jarrell will not be my first choice of fight, as it wouldn't be for many of you, and I do actually have a lot of hate for those. A lot of people following me on Twitter would have seen, and I'm going to explain my reason to hate it, but actually why I think this can be very good and interesting. Originally, I'll give you the reasons why I actually do have a bit of hate on this fight, and that's because I feel that Dillian Whyte hasn't got a fair offer, a fair crack at the whip. I think really the $8 million that was rumoured to be paid to him for the deal isn't quite enough for the quality that Dillian Whyte brings. He is a very dangerous fighter, very improved fighter. He has up and come so much since 3 years ago from the fight with AJ. Before then, he didn't have a trainer and he was sort of training himself, prodding along. A professional fighter, but not professional. Now he's fully trained. He's got a team. He's come a long way. He's beaten big name opponents. He's took on Joseph Parker straight after the loss of AJ, and beat Joseph Parker. He was the very first guy as well to knock Parker down. You can say twice, but the first time was a head crash. So I really put him down once. First guy to do that, can't argue. He's beaten Lucas Brown. A lot of people do not respect Lucas Brown, but when he fought Brown was an unbeaten fighter and a former world champion. He's only a former world champion because his belt got stripped. And Dillian Whyte has had two epic clashes now with Derek Chisora. Chisora, you can argue, but he's a gatekeeper. He's a very dominant fighter, a very front foot fighter, and he went to war. With Deontay Wilder, the fight can't ever be made with Wilder at the current moment because you got to understand as well, and I fully get this. Deontay Wilder is not responding to emails. Why? Why isn't Deontay Wilder responding to emails? Because he's got a rematch. He has a rematch with Fury. He wants to fight Fury again. And also now the WBC has now ordered it. So now the only way Wilder get out of fighting Fury is if he was to vacate, which he ain't going to do. And also he wants, as Fury does as well, correct his record. Get back on track, get back on winning ways. He wants to beat Fury. Maintain the WBC belt and the crown a heavyweight world champion. So of course, he ain't bothering with emails. He's screwing off AJ left, right and centre. Which is understandable because, he wants to get himself sorted. He wants to maintain his championship belt, be champion, and correct his record. It's been secret outed by Eddie Hearn that Fury was in talks with Eddie Hearn as well about a possible fight, despite Frank Kwan saying 50-50. Fury wasn't interested in the split, he was interested in direct money. But of course, he still had the Wilder fight in mind and still wanted to fight Wilder because he still wants to become WBC champion, the belt that he didn't have. He also wants to correct the draw because, honestly, he did win that fight against Wilder. That could be a whole nother argument. Loads of people say and agree that he did. Small majority says that Fury lost to Wilder. So you can understand why AJ ain't fighting Fury. But the Dillian Whyte fight still sticks. But as well, and I agree with this coming from other points that started on my social medias and my Twitter. which I've been talking to many other people about, was the fact that 8 million is actually a fair offer for White, because in a way, White did get knocked out and quite brutally against Anthony Joshua and lost. At the moment, White isn't really bringing anything other than fans to the stadium, which is a good positive for him, because he'll be bringing them out as fans, and it would guarantee to sell out Wembley Stadium on April the 13th. But other than that, he's not bringing no lineal champion. He's not bringing a WBC belt to the table. He is just chasing to be world champion. But you can't deny him that he does deny a world championship shot. Also, a load of people don't like a rematch idea. A load of people hate rematches and think that it could be a flop and history's going to repeat itself. You never know. It's heavyweight boxing at the end of the day. One punch can change anything and everything. So really, I would love to see Dillian Whyte in with AJ on April the 13th. This was a fight that I really wanted to see, and I did have plans to go to. So I feel that Dillian Whyte has got a bit hard done by it, but I understand the arguments for and against this. Leaving us with Joshua Miller. Some people argue and also say that it should be Luis Ortiz. But really, you look at Luis Ortiz's resume, and this is where my beef comes in with Miller. Because I think Miller doesn't deserve the shot, because he hasn't fought anyone of substantial value. He hasn't taken on any other big names other than Wilder, which he lost. And you can say it was controversial. You can say that Wilder was allowed a couple of seconds after being locked by Ortiz between rounds. And then, of course, recovering and then knocking Ortiz out. But other than that, Ortiz hasn't beaten anyone of substantial value, just as Miller. Actually, his level of opposition has been worse than Miller. Also, I say Miller hasn't really deserved the world title shot. Yes, he does have a very good record. He is 23-0 with one draw, I believe. Actually, sorry, that's his knockouts. But still, he's got a very good record to him. And you can't be denied, he does deserve it. You know, he's unbeaten. But he hasn't fought anyone big or worthy. He hasn't fought anyone inside the top 10. Where if you look at the top 10, AJ has beaten 5 to 6 of the top 10 already. So this is why I do have beef with this, because I feel that Miller doesn't deserve his shot at a heavyweight world title. But who else inside the top 10 does, apart from Luis Ortiz? If you have any idea who, maybe drop a selection box in my comments box below. Don't forget as well, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in my next video. Peace out.